The Brava Smart Oven gets even smarter. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us from Brava is Director of Product Management, Zac Selmon. Hi, Zac.
Hello, Fred. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Well, before we get into what is brand new, a little background about the Brava, which cooks with light. You've been around for a number of years now.
Yes, we have. So Brava is a smart oven. So it has, thousands of recipes that kind of automate the cooking process for you. But you mentioned that it cooks with light, and that's kind of the secret sauce behind it. So the way the Brava is set up is it has six lamps, three on top and three on the bottom. And these lamps were kind of originally used in manufacturing solar panels. And the cool thing about them is that they're incredibly powerful, but they reach full power in just under a second. So there's no kind of preheating time. But then when you turn them off, there's minimal residual heat. So it gives you very fine, kind of precise control over how much energy you're putting out. The other cool thing about them is that uh, because it's light, we have these reflectors on either side of them, and what that does is focuses the energy. So instead of a traditional oven where you use the heater coils or the gas to basically charge the chamber walls with energy, and so there's a long preheat time that stores energy in the walls, and then that's what's used to cook the food. We're basically imparting the energy directly into the food. So it's think of it like a spotlight or a magnifying glass where all the energy is directed directly into the food. So the chamber walls don't get that hot. The actual internal chamber temperature is not that hot. It's using these pulses of lamps. Um, the other cool thing about that focus is that it gives us three independent cooking zones relative to the lamp positions. So we can cook like steak in one zone, potatoes in another zone, and broccoli in another zone. And by pulsing the lamps independently, we can cook each one independently and um, coordinate it so that it all comes out at the same time.
For those who might be skeptical about what you're saying there, folks, it really works. We've had a look. It's amazing.
It's very cool. So in addition to that precision, um, the lamps are incredibly powerful because it's not because all the energy is going directly into the food. We have instead of topping at around 500 degrees like a traditional oven, um, by focusing all that energy directly into the food, we're cooking at about 900 degrees of effective cooking power. So we can do things you can't do on a traditional oven, like get a hard sear on a steak. Things you'd normally do on a grill or a stovetop, and because it's bidirectional, we can do that without flipping. The other thing that allows us to do that I think is really cool is to cook faster. So, for example, if you have a tray of broccoli that you throw into a normal oven at 400 degrees, you got to preheat the oven for 5, 10 minutes, and then it roasts for maybe 20. In the Bravo, we can cook it in under 10 minutes from a cold oven. And the way we do that is again that 900 degrees. But if you took a tray of broccoli and you put it into like a 900-degree pizza oven, for example, it'll burn on the outside before it cooks all the way through. But because we can pulse the lamps, what we do is we hit it at 900 degrees and raise the surface temperature just to the point where it would start to burn. And then we turn off the lamp and then we turn it on and turn it off. And we basically pulse the lamps to maintain a surface temperature just below the point where it would start to burn. And by doing that, we can cook as basically fast as the physics will allow the energy to transfer to the center of the food. So it just gives us a lot of really flexible ways to apply heat, and then we can control all that with software and adjust things that way.
Now you have an app that works with this, and there is a camera
There
inside the
is.
oven. I mean, to me, that sounds like an impossible engineering feat, but tell us about it.
Um, it was tricky, and so part of it is because the way that the lamps work, that pulsing, and because of how bright the lamps are. Um, so we actually have a glass front version of the Brava now, but when we first launched, it was only a closed front. So we wanted the camera in there so that you could have a view into what you were cooking. Um, but there was definitely some fun engineering that went into adjusting um, the white balance and the exposure and everything to be able to handle the super bright lights, especially coming from different angles. And the lamps can fire at full power or at reduced power, and so we have to coordinate each frame of the video so that it pre-adjusts the exposure so that it captures the image correctly depending on what the light level is going to be in there. But it's cool. So we've got a touch screen on the top of the oven that will, when the oven is cooking, stream a video of what's inside the oven. And then that also will stream to the app, so you can remotely monitor your cook. You can even stop the cook remotely. And then we even have a stored history of that, so you can go back and see old cooks that you've made in there and get a little time lapse view of things, which especially when we were just starting out was really key for troubleshooting and getting helping with customer support and adjusting our recipes and understanding how best to um, tweak and improve our recipe library.
Just terrific. And of course, because you're connected, this is connected to Wi-Fi. You can really be controlling from and seeing what's going on from pretty much anywhere. And now
Yep.
you've launched the V3 software, a real leap forward. Tell us about it.
Yes. So um, we are connected to the internet. The oven uses that for all the connected features, streaming the video, all that, and for downloading updates, both to new features and stuff on the oven, but also new recipes. We put out new recipes every week. Um, but the oven can function not connected to the internet. All the recipes live on the oven, and you can use it even when you're not connected to Wi-Fi. But in the past, um, you had to control everything from on the oven. You could search through the recipe library, but just so people know the process of cooking in the Brava, you find a recipe, say you want to make steak, potatoes, and broccoli. Once you select that, it'll ask you some questions, what size your steaks are, how finely you want to dice the potatoes, what your doneness preferences are. Do you want medium rare, medium, what have you? Um, and all of those selections only lived in the oven software. So even if you found the recipe on the app, you still had to finish doing all the setup from on the oven. And what we've done with V3 is kind of refactored how all the recipes are stored and allowed full control from the cloud and from the app, so that you can just make all the selections on the app and send it to the oven and control it that way. You can even build your own recipes. We call them custom cooks, where you say, I want to start with this recipe and then add sear, or I want to bake for 300 or 30 minutes at 400 degrees and then sear the top. And you can save out your own recipes that way. Um, and so what that does is a couple fold. It gives people a more flexible way of interacting with the oven and creating their own content, which has been a big request since the beginning. But it's also opened the door for helping with assistive technology. So about a year or two ago, we started realizing that a lot of the benefits that the Brava has, the safety aspects, the fact that you can do things you do on a stovetop, but without having to deal with open flames, that it doesn't get hot on the outsides of the oven, that it doesn't have to preheat and that it automatically shuts off. There's a bunch of these things that were really helpful for people that have various disabilities. And so we started working with folks aging in place and with various developmental disabilities, and really kind of leaning into the assistive technology aspect of it. And we realized that the touchscreen was kind of the least accessible part of the oven. Um, and so what we were able to do by pushing it to the app is now we can tie in with accessibility tools like VoiceOver and TalkBack on iOS and Android, which are screen readers, so that people that are blind or low vision can use the screen readers on their phone, make all their selections, get all the instructions, and set up their cook on a cold tray, put it into a cold oven, and control it entirely that way. Which I'm really excited about. It's a big thing that we just launched, to be able to help people that are blind, low vision, that might have some challenges dealing with working with hot pans and trying to flip a grilled cheese and burning fingers and just making it more accessible like that.
Hello, my name is Zac Selmon. I'm the head of product at Brava.
Well, hello, my name is Fernando. I work for the Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired in San Francisco.
And as we started looking into assistive technology, we quickly realized that the least accessible aspect of the product is the touchscreen on top of the oven. So we started looking into being able to support fully controlling the oven from the phone, so that it could work for people that are blind and low vision, and that can work with screen readers.
Screen readers. So it changes the behavior of your touchscreen device so that everything you touch on the screen, it will read out loud to you. And that is what enables us to navigate, especially if you're blind or have low vision. There's a lot of guesswork that goes into a cook. Using the Brava takes all the guesswork out of that. I'm going to double tap.
Grilled cheese preset.
And it opens a recipe. From here, I can customize the recipe.
Wide selected. 2 additional options available. Quantity. 1 sandwich selected.
So once my recipe has been customized, I will go ahead and send it to the Brava.
Cook was sent to your Brava. Instructions. Prepare ingredient. Use white bread. Add cheese and other fillings as desired. Then close sandwich. Spread butter on both sides of sandwich. Fill zone S on indicated tray. Place white grilled cheese on zones 2. Place the metal tray on the lower shelf and close the door. Press the green button to start cooking.
There we go. Now the cook has begun.
Notification. Brava. Cook complete.
Oh, that smells good. All right.
Grilled cheese cheers.
Grilled cheese cheers.
We're really excited to get this out and in people's hands. And this is just the beginning. We're going to keep working as hard as we can to continue to make this the best way for people to cook at home. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just really, really terrific, Zac, what you're doing. And, it comes to mind that
big
this
shout out to
really
my
is opening all kinds of doors for people and for techies, because there's more to come on how you can use this, right?
There is. I think it's really exciting. The other kind of benefit of having all of the information in the cloud is it gives us a lot more flexibility to tie in with some of the other tools that are available out there and resources. So we're playing around with some fun new things that should be coming out soon, tying in with some of the AI models and allowing more integrations that can tie back into controlling the oven, just giving more flexibility to create and ingest content and more tools for controlling and adjusting and personalizing your experience with the oven.
So maybe you can give us an example. Are you thinking that this might work with some of the smart speakers out there in addition to having the app on your phone? Or how do you envision some of the future control and being able to converse with the Brava?
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly the thing. We built years ago. We actually built smart speaker integrations with Google Home and Alexa, but we never released them because traditionally in the past they were pretty prescriptive about how you interacted with them. They'd have very specific wake words and very structured responses, and if you didn't follow the exact script, they would get things wrong. And because Brava has so many recipes and for things like choosing a New York steak versus a filet, most people would just say, I want to cook a steak. But if you don't enter the right program, it's not going to cook correctly in the Brava. And follow-up questions about the doneness or the height or things like that. When we did user testing, it just it was causing more trouble than it was saving people. That's kind of all changed in the brave new world of AI and all these LLMs that are out there, where it can be more conversational and can understand the natural language that people are using to speak, and can be more of a conversation, a back and forth, can ask clarifying questions and understand the context better. And so all of these options are making it much more possible to, in a natural way, interact with the recipe library and set up what you want to do. beyond just that kind of conversational interaction with the recipe library, there's also fun things for increasing the content that's out there. If you find other recipes, if you want to create your own recipe, um, having a more natural kind of interface for building that stuff into the custom cook formats that the recipe that the oven can run. There's fun things that we're experimenting with to kind of reduce friction and allow people to really kind of cook whatever they want to, leveraging this kind of heating technology that we have.
Sounds really terrific. And any idea when some of those capabilities will start to be available? And will they be available to people who've had their ovens for some time?
Uh, they will. I mean, so even this new update, all the updates get pushed out to the entire fleet. There's no new hardware or anything that's required for all of that. We're in the testing phase with some of the stuff. We're playing around. So I'm hopeful that it'll come out early next year. I don't have an exact date, and there's fine tuning on a lot of that training, and we'll have to go through the testing because um, with some of the AI stuff, there can be hallucinations, right? And so, like with the image generators, if a hand comes out with a couple of extra thumbs, they just kind of laugh and generate something else, but nobody likes it when their fillet comes out with a thumb on it. So we've got to make sure that it's really tuned and behaving correctly. Um, but I'm really hopeful and confident that we'll start to see these things rolling out. It'll probably be uh, a more basic chat interface for the search browse kind of stuff, and then the content creation and adjustment. That's what we'll have to experiment with, and that'll require a little bit more training. But I think just the basic voice interaction should be coming hopefully early in the coming year.
Very exciting. And before we get further into this whole realm with AI and tech and maybe scare some people, you can use this. And I don't know that you guys push this enough. You can use this like you would use any other oven. Set a temperature, turn it on. You can use it as a toaster the same way and set your desired level of darkness.
Exactly. We call them our manual modes. So we have bake, which will just bake like a normal oven. You set your temperature and your time, and um, it's interesting. We call them manual modes. It's really an emulation because, like I said, the chamber isn't actually getting to 400 degrees, but we've tuned it so that we figured out the right pulsing of lamps to get the same results as if it were in a 400-degree chamber, even though it's still cooking with these pulses of lamps. We've got an air fry feature. It works great as a toaster, like you said. Um, the ones that I use the most is our reheat feature. I don't know if you've had a chance to try that yet. It's kind of amazing. So, when you reheat leftover Chinese food in the microwave, it's fast. It'll take a couple minutes, but it kind of steams it from the inside out. And so it actually dries it out while also making crispy things kind of soggy. Um, Brava, on the other hand, is almost as fast. It's usually maybe a minute longer than you would take in a microwave, but because it's real infrared heat, it actually kind of rejuvenates it. It recrisps it up. So leftover pizza um, or Chinese food, it crisps. It's like new again. Same with frozen foods. I make chicken nuggets for my kids. If you do it in the oven, it takes 10 minutes to heat up and 20 minutes to cook. In the microwave, it's a couple minutes, but it's really rubbery. This is about 5 minutes and totally crisp and delicious. You've got a sear mode, which is like an instant power broiler. It's kind of like a salamander, but from top or bottom, and you can control which zones you want it to go. Which, if you just want top or bottom, you can make rice in it. You can slow cook in it. You can dehydrate. You can do all that stuff. So it's really versatile.
And
And
you
like I
work with some
mentioned,
great chefs. I was going to say some great chefs are working with you to create recipes for this, and
we do.
everybody in your whole community can chip in too, right?
It's true. So we've had a bunch of pretty amazing chefs working with us that helped to build up this whole recipe library. I think we're almost to 9,000 recipes now. Um, but some of the most fun things that we've had, we've got a community. I keep talking about the custom cooks. So we've had users that have figured out how to do things that we never would have thought of. We had one user that figured out how to make ghee, clarified butter in their oven without having to stir it. Just it's finicky making your own ghee, and ghee is expensive, but it usually requires, a mix of adjusting the heat and stirring and letting the solids kind of uh, strain out. And he just figured out how to throw a couple sticks of butter into the pan, heat it, let it melt and cool down, and then heat it again, cool down, and built this program for just one touch creation of ghee. He saved it to the community, and it's been downloaded thousands of times, and people are making ghee, every week and using it for all their cooking. So the community aspect is very cool.
Terrific. Well, as we mentioned, this is very unique, a lot of tech in it, and it does require an investment. So, what do you say to people who ask about, wow, this is a pretty expensive oven? They might look at a toaster oven in the big box retailers and try to compare pricing, and you say, wow, why is it worth this much? So, tell us about that and the availability and pricing today.
Yes. It's in the smart oven category, or it's about the size of a toaster oven, and people make those comparisons, but it's really just a very different product, right? It replaces so many other things, the things you'd normally do on a stovetop, making a grilled cheese without flipping. The hard part that is for people to understand without kind of experiencing it is this idea of unattended cooking, right? So the fact that you don't have to preheat, the fact that it's fast, and because when it shuts off, it stops cooking, there's not kind of a low level anxiety about, oh, I need to pull this out at this time or it's going to keep cooking and burn. Um, when you have it in your house and you're dealing with it day to day, you've got kids trying to run around and get homework done, or my daughters are fighting in the back room. I'm not trying to juggle that with the kind of mental load of getting something cooked and ready for dinner at the same time. So there's just so much kind of low level anxiety that you're not even really aware of until you don't have to deal with it. It really kind of gives you time back in terms of how you're preparing meals. The other thing that I've noticed at my house is that we've ended up eating healthier because of it. Like we have roasted broccoli or vegetables or fresh ingredients a lot more frequently because there is less um, planning and time involved in it. It's just so easy to keep it in the refrigerator and just throw it on a tray and press a button and not have to worry about it. And it comes out delicious. My kids ask for it, right? Um, and so it because it does so many things and does them so well, mixed with this kind of um, easing of tension and kind of hands off aspect to it. Um, it's really hard to quantify how the benefits in that way. In terms of availability, you can get it. It's on Amazon. It's on Brava.com. It starts at $12.95, and that comes with the metal and glass tray, which or I would say 80% of the meals that we have or the recipes use one of those two trays. And then we have other accessories. We have an egg tray so that you can make fried eggs or poached eggs. My favorite thing to do is um, I make poached eggs, but instead of adding a tablespoon of water to the egg cup, I add a tablespoon of salsa, and so I do salsa poached eggs. You can even put a metal tray in the bottom with like a tortilla and some cheese, and just make kind of huevos rancheros. It takes about 5 minutes. You don't have to do the whole boil the water and stir it when you crack the egg in. It comes out perfectly poached eggs. And then the next bundle comes up with a chef's pan, which is like a big Dutch oven that you can do rice and braises and things like that. And so depending on the bundle, it goes up from the $12.95. Brava.com. Right now, we're actually running our Black Friday sale, which is the biggest sale that we have of the year, up to $400 off of our kind of top of the line bundle. So it's the right time to be looking.
Terrific. Well, congratulations on all of the innovations there. And as you pointed out, there's much more to come. The site is brava.com, brava.com. Zac Selmon, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.